Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, and John Vias, Peter Brown with the weather, Gretchen Carey with the community calendar, and Anthony Matos with sports. Thank you for joining us. Burlington Public Schools have changed some of the protocols and procedures in its COVID-19 mitigation plan in response to a big spike in cases. The new plan was outlined by Superintendent Eric Conti and Assistant Superintendent Patrick Larkin at this week's school committee meeting. Perhaps one of the biggest changes is an alteration to the district's test and stay program. Since it was implemented last fall, the schools have been testing students who were identified as a close contact, within 6 feet, of a person who tested positive for the virus. The test began as soon as the positive cases were reported. Conti and Larkin said the problem with this method is that in the first couple of days, asymptomatic people might have a test that shows a false negative. They believe this is what happened at the Francis Wyman before the holiday break. Students were testing negative but had the virus and were sent back to class. The new plan is to have anyone identified as a close contact to go home to quarantine for 5 days and then take a test. They also changed the definition of a close contact to anyone who was within 3 feet of a positive case rather than 6. Superintendent Conti also said that students are only considered to be close contacts if they are unvaccinated. Vaccinated students who were within 3 feet of a positive case do not need to quarantine. Conti and Larkin said these changes were necessary due to the rise of cases within the school. They said that on January 6th, they had 599 absences in the district. They also had 190 known cases among students and staff members that same week. As of Tuesday evening, they were up to 95 student cases and 19 staff cases for the week. Assistant Superintendent Larkin said these numbers would make it impossible for the staff to keep up with test and stay if they continued the program as it was initially conceived. Here he is on the subject.
The other thing, you may get asked, why are we stopping test and stay? Because this is gonna, over the next couple of weeks, potentially have a few more kids home than we would have liked. But the reason is, prior to the December break, we had a huge number of cases at Francis Wyman. I think we had 70-something positives between Thanksgiving and the break. And we were able to do that at one school. It took a lot of work. I don't know if it was humanly sustainable, looking at what people were doing on that day, from classroom teachers down to administrators to nurses. It was incredible to watch. But I don't know if that's humanly sustainable. In fact, I know it's not. We're now starting to see similar caseloads at all of our schools. The reason we're not going to continue with test and stay is because we can't maintain it. We can't get it done.
A beloved Burlington man who gave a lot of his time and energy to the community over the years and is credited with having a pivotal role in making the Burlington Ice Palace what it is today has passed away. Anthony Vincent DeSimone, a retired federal contract specialist, passed away after a long battle with Parkinson's disease and cancer on Monday night, January 3rd. He was 76 years old. Tony was born in Somerville. He grew up in Watertown and was a 1962 graduate of Watertown High School. He went on to earn his bachelor's degree in business finance at BC. After graduating from Boston College, he fulfilled his military requirements, serving 2 years in the Army during the Vietnam War. He held the rank of SP5 and spent most of his time at Fort Dix, New Jersey as part of Company A, SP Troops, U.S. Army, TC Infantry. After returning from his military service, Tony went to work as a bank examiner for the federal government. He then took a position as a government contract specialist, where he spent 30 years negotiating defense contracts with one of the federal government's biggest defense contractors, the Raytheon Company. Tony was a huge sports enthusiast. When his children were growing up, he coached a variety of sports, including hockey, baseball, softball, and soccer. He served on the board of directors for the Burlington Hockey and Figure Skating Association for 6 years and served as the president for many years. When the Burlington Ice Palace was up for sale, he used his negotiating and business skills to help convince the Burlington selectmen and town meeting members to have the town purchase the rink. Once the deal was done, he then acted as the manager of the rink for the first years to help get the financials in order. repair and upgrade the facility, and provide more access to the skating rink to youth sports and residents of Burlington. He and other board members were able to improve the facility and make it financially self-sustaining. He was recognized for his hard work and commitment to Burlington sports by being inducted into Burlington Hall of Fame as a benefactor in 2018. You can find a link to his full obituary on our site at bcattv.org/obituaries. Last week saw the first significant snowfall of the year. In the wake of the storm, BNEWS Director Rich Hosford checked in with DPW Director John Sanchez to see how his department fared in the face of a big deficit in contract plow drivers. He has this report.
Last Thursday night into Friday morning, we saw the first significant amount of snowfall in the Burlington area with a little more than half a foot hitting the ground. To see how the cleanup went, we caught up with DPW Director John Sanchez on Monday to ask about clearing the roads while dealing with a general shortage of contract plow drivers that is hitting most communities in the state and beyond.
Well, I want to say that we were pretty lucky with the storm that we had. You know the forecast, and you follow what they're going to say, and we ended up with about 7 inches of light snow. And I want to say for the conditions that we are today with COVID and the lack of contractors and potentially with some of the employees out quarantining or isolating, it was like the right storm to have for us. You know, on a Friday with the schools closed down, knowing that we have the weekend to do to finish cleaning up. So I think it went really well from that point of view, and particularly from our residents as well, who were very, very good as far as being patient and being off the roads for us to do the work.
John said there are always numerous factors that help determine how a storm cleanup proceeds.
Two factors happen. One of them has to do with how long the storm actually takes to develop and happen during the day. And you know that it went quite a bit even into the afternoon. They had told us that it was going to end by about 10, but it didn't. So that's one factor. But the other one is definitely we're lacking probably about 12 pieces of equipment that we normally would have had. And under today's conditions, we have what we have, and we'll do the best we can with the equipment we have.
Finally, he said despite the contractor shortage, Burlington was better positioned in terms of cleanup than some other communities thanks to foresight and good planning.
I think that I mentioned this before, and the town has done a pretty good job at buying our own equipment. We pretty much doubled the amount of our own pieces of equipment that we used during the storm over the last 15 years, and that helped dramatically, because now we put twice as many trucks as what we were doing 12 years ago just on the town side. So obviously we get a lot more work done that way, including the trucks from the rec department as well as the trucks in the public works department. And with the combination of forces, it allows us to actually complete the work now when perhaps other communities are not as lucky as what we have been.
From the Town Hall Annex, I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford.
Burlington is set to receive some additional funds from the state thanks to legislation pushed by the town's delegation at the State House. Town Administrator Paul Sagarino announced at Monday night's Select Board meeting that Burlington had been earmarked for $200,000 from the state's American Rescue Plan Act, better known as ARPA. That's the federal government's second aid package approved in response to the pandemic. $100,000 of the funds will go towards air quality improvements at the Burlington Fire Department's main headquarters, and another $100,000 will go to improvements, activities, and other expenses related to the Burlington Pocket Park or other placemaking activities that are part of an effort to support local businesses. Burlington had previously been granted over $8 million in funds under ARPA. $1.5 million of those funds will go towards replenishing the town's operating budget, evenly divided over 3 fiscal years, after local receipts, including the meals and hotel taxes, came in much shorter than usual due to the economic shutdown. $500,000 for the project to add PFAS filters to the Mill Pond water treatment plant. Town leaders have also set aside $1 million for any COVID-related expenses that could come up later. The other $5.5 million, which can be allocated at a future date, could be used for water sewer infrastructure improvements or other projects that present themselves as an immediate need. Though they are waiting for clarifying information, the Burlington Select Board is poised to raise the fees for the demolition of residential homes beyond the recommendation of the building department. The proposal to raise the fees for complete residential demolition from the recommended $100 to $200 to instead going up to $1,000 came from Select Board member Mike Runyon, who suggested the extra funds be put into an account that can be used to help people, especially seniors, stay in their homes. He noted that in Burlington there is a trend that at least one single-family home is being torn down a week, and the average price of the new homes being built is $1.4 million. He argued that this pricing is pricing new families and people on fixed income out of the housing market in town. Other members of the board said they agree with the proposal, but wanted to ensure that the fee increase wouldn't impact average residents who wanted to make modifications to their homes rather than tearing them down altogether. At the recommendation of Town Administrator Paul Sagarino, they agreed to postpone a formal vote until a February 14th meeting when they will receive all of the relevant information from the building department. At the December 2nd, 2021 meeting of the Burlington Planning Board, DPW Director Sanchez presented a plan for modifications to the existing Mill Pond water treatment plant and the construction of an adjacent PFAS filter building. As reported by BNEWS in June 2021, the filter is meant to remove PFAS from the water supply. PFAS are a family of man-made chemicals used for non-stick coatings and firefighting foams, among a vast list of other products. Manufacturing of certain PFAS was discontinued in the U.S. decades ago, but they are resilient and do not degrade easily in soil and water, and as a result, they are widely found in the environment and many consumer products where they mitigate to the food supply and drinking water. I think they migrate as opposed to mitigate. In September, town meeting voted to appropriate $15 million in funding for the design, construction, programming, and configuration of a filter addition to the Mill Pond plant. Sanchez proposed what he called a creative approach to the design and construction of the facility, using 3 different contractors to save time. Due to supply line issues, the PFAS filters will go out to bid separately from the piping and valves. The actual construction will also be its own contract. The Planning Board voted to continue the matter to their January 6th meeting to gather comments from the Board of Health and Conservation Commission. At that meeting, Town Engineer Tom Hayes updated the board on adjustments to the stormwater system. The project was unanimously approved and construction is slated to begin in April 2022. The DPW is planning to have Burlington's PFAS filter system operational by the end of 2022, with the updated Mill Pond water treatment plant fully completed in 2023. Burlington High School senior Anna Pearl has a passion for art. Her work is now on display at the Cambridge Street Gallery in the high school for others to appreciate and draw inspiration from. BNews reporter John Villas has this look.
When you're walking through the halls of BHS, right by the school cafeteria is a display of some fine local Burlington artwork. The Cambridge Street Art Gallery gives not only students, but community members the opportunity to share their work with students and faculty members.
We've had it in place for a number of years, and it's a wonderful place to feature student art or community artists or guest artists that we have. And we've done a great job of being able to keep it open and near the cafeteria so lots of students can come by and see it. And teachers can also bring down classes and use it to enhance their curriculum and showcase different artists.
And one of those artists in particular is Anna Pearl. Currently enrolled in AP Studio Art and Architecture, she's a senior at BHS who expresses her artistic vision through a wide variety of materials, such as watercolor, acrylic paint, and mixed media.
She's done a lot of work and been very prolific. I love seeing all of the different styles that are in this room. So she has pieces all the way that are abstracted and, thinking of different ideas and concepts to a lot of portraiture.
Since I was like 4 or 5, my mom just signed me up for art lessons and I really enjoyed it. So I've been taking art lessons ever since. And also my mom was an art teacher and my dad has a studio which he loves to do photography as a hobby. So I think I just always grew up with a lot of art around me. So I was always inspired by it, yeah.
Anna's inspiration soars through many different places, people, and stories, as showcased through her artwork, putting many hours into one piece alone. She excels at showing her peers how art can move an individual.
Some of these took maybe a couple months, But a lot of them I just kind of finish them as quick as I can, but some of them will take us like super long time. I was super excited and honored, but I know my dad would have been really excited for that, so that was kind of like the main reason that I was super excited to put my art on display. I know he'd be really proud.
So that's definitely one of the main goals, is for other students to get inspired by Anna's work, see what concepts and ideas she's thinking about, what materials she's used. So I've brought my classes down to look at it as we've started to think about what works they want to make that's personal to them. They're getting some inspiration from Anna's work.
From the Cambridge Street Art Gallery at Burlington High, this is John Vias for BNEWS Weekly.
We have a lot of very talented children in Burlington. Burlington's Economic Development Director, Melissa Tintakalis, has been working with Mass Development to help reshape the future of the Mall Road and Middlesex Turnpike corridors, and recently held a virtual forum on the project. BNews reporter Tad Stefanak has this look.
Burlington's Economic Development Office is charting a new course for Mall Road and Middlesex Turnpike, and recently held a virtual community forum on the Mall Road Middlesex Turnpike Districting Initiative.
I mean, I think the district plan starts to, not only just look at development paths, but also really tries to identify the community goals. What does the community also want out of this? Economic vitality and a successful business corridor? Yes. How do you make that sustainable over time and achieve community goals? And the goals that we heard specifically had been around connectivity, and that is walking, just simply walking from one place to another. Bicycle, yes, trying to make that happen. And then looking at, some futures like with shuttles or something like that. A cool thing that we explored is just kind of the natural systems, which are kind of covered up by our current, kind of development, but looking at those to be, places that could be kind of special public amenities over time. There's kind of geographic advantages of where we are, Burlington. We still have a lot of space. We have the freeways, we have the proximity to Cambridge and Boston, and we still have access to a lot of housing options. But, within where we're placed, we're very desirable. And so I think that keeps the development pressure on, kind of whether we like it or not, right? And I think what we want to do, and I think what I was charged with coming here, is how do we best harness that demand and be thoughtful about it. This is the Vinebrook corridor between, I think this is Leahy and the district, which is really kind of steep and woodsy, but their kind of idea was like, well, if you can use that and you kind of really enhance it with lighting and walkways, that this becomes more of an activated park. This exercise that we've kind of started with Mass Development and bringing on experts in urban design, market analysis, real estate analysis, is informing how we can create a framework for this district that helps us, shows us the steps we need to kind of have in place to guide that development. With a district plan, we can convey and make explicit what our expectations are as Burlington for this area. It offers some certainty to developers, also lays out like a clear plan for us if we want to seek out state or federal level funding for other projects. That all is part of this effort.
The Burlington Economic Development Office will be holding another community forum in March for the 128 District Draft Plan. From the Office of Economic Development, I'm BNews reporter Tad Stefanak.
The ranks of the Burlington Police Department just got a bit stronger. At the recommendation of Chief Thomas Brown and Deputy Chief Robert Kirshner, Town Administrator Paul Sagarino appointed Officer Brendan Hofferty and Officer Devin Neal to the force during the Select Board meeting of Monday, January 10. Officer Hofferty has worked as a civilian dispatcher with the Millis Police Department. He's a 2020 graduate of Merrimack College in North Andover, majoring in criminal justice. While attending a Washington semester program at American University in Washington, D.C., Officer Hofferty interned with the Metropolitan Police Department Office of General Counsel. There he worked alongside department staff and assisted in civil and criminal cases. He is an active volunteer, recently serving as a tutor at the Boys and Girls Club in Lawrence and raising money for causes including assisting disabled veterans, refugees, and those affected by COVID-19. Officer Neal is a 2021 graduate of Merrimack College in North Andover, majoring in criminology and criminal justice. He is currently seeking his master's degree from Merrimack College, also in criminology and criminal justice. Officer Neal also maintains an interest in fire services. He has completed several fire service training programs and interned with the Fire and Explosion Investigations section of the Mass State Police in Stowe. He assisted the Mass State Police Department, and the National Transportation Safety Board in the aftermath of the Columbia gas explosion in 2018. Okay, up next is a news story on the weather, which is no stranger to us. We've had some bitter cold temperatures in the past week, and to see what's in store for the week ahead, no golf. We go now to BNEWS weatherman Peter Brown for the latest forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Gretchen Carey to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, this is Peter Brown with the extra weather for the next 7 days. Starting out our period on Friday, it looks like we're going to be having about average temperatures for this time of the year in the mid-30s, so pretty chilly out there, pretty much like it's been for the past couple of weeks or so here in the Burlington area. And as we round out our period getting into the end of next week, our average highs again this time of the year should be in the mid-30s. This again is the coldest part of the year. Our temperatures, our average highs after this time of the year should start going back up again, but it is going to be doing anything but as we head towards the end of the period. Our highs are going to be probably about 10 degrees colder than average. The only thing, of course, that we notice that's a positive is the days keep getting longer as we head further into winter. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us here in the Burlington area in terms of temperatures and precipitation for the next 7 to 10 days. Again, looking at our temperature map, it looks like they're expecting us to have below average temperatures, and that's definitely going to be reflected in the 7-day forecast as we go ahead. And looking at our precipitation chances, looks like they're calling for us to have about average precipitation. That's going to be very dependent on a rather powerful storm that's going to be moving its way up here Sunday into Monday. So we're going to have to see if that pans out. That could bring us quite a dumping of either rain or snow, depending on the track. Or it could head out to sea, but we'll just have to wait and see. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at those 7 days of weather coming up again, starting our period on Friday. And be seeing temperatures pretty chilly out there. Average again for this time of the year only in the mid-30s. An Arctic front is going to be passing by us Friday afternoon into late Friday evening. That's going to put our low temperatures way down near zero as we head into Saturday morning, and our highs on Saturday probably won't be making it out of the mid-teens. And again, then going into Sunday morning, temperatures below zero, so a really chilly weekend coming up. Now that sets the stage for us on Sunday for an approaching storm coming from the south. And that could be either, again, a very powerful snowstorm or a very powerful and wet rainstorm, again, depending on the track of the storm. A track further to the west up over Long Island is a possibility. That would bring us some snow to begin with, some very heavy rain coming in afterwards with some strong winds. The track just off the coast and over in Nantucket would bring us some very heavy snow. And again, there's still a possibility that this could go out to sea. So please stay tuned to your local weather forecasts, all over the Boston media, just to keep an eye on this, as this could be a potentially significant storm for us here in the southern New England area and Burlington especially. Now, as we get towards the latter portion of our period, getting past that storm on Monday and getting into then the rest of the week, sunny skies are going to return. Some seasonable temperatures will come back, but then we're going to take another plunge down into the deep cold as we head in towards Thursday, with our high temperatures only in the low 20s. So everyone, get out there, stay bundled up, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
It's flu season. You're probably planning to get your kids their flu shots, but remember to get yours too. Vaccinating your family is the best way to protect you and your kids from the flu. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Get your flu shot today.
Hey everyone, I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your community calendar. On Thursday, January 20th at 6:30 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a virtual program on Zoom called Rosemary, the Hidden Kennedy Daughter. For more information and to register, go to burlingtonpubliclibrary.org. On Saturday, January 22nd at 9 a.m., CrossFit Exclamation will be having an event called Muscles and Mascara. Pre-registration is required. For more information and to register, go to the following website. Starting on January 29th, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department will be having an indoor rock climbing program. For children ages 7 through 12, pre-registration is required. For more information and to register, go to burlingtonrecreation.org.
For the latest Red Devil action, we go now to BNews sports reporter Anthony Matos for this week's sports report.
Hey everyone, I'm Anthony Matos, and this is your weekly sports report. Happy New Year! The winter season has hit high gear as Red Devil teams continue their seasons. Girls and boys basketball faced Wakefield on January 6th at BHS. We have some highlights.
Red Devil basketball played host to the Wakefield Warriors on January 6th. Let's begin with the girls' game. It was a slow start for the team in the first half, as the Red Devils and Warriors were keeping the scores close. 13-12 was the score at the end of the first, and headed into halftime, it was 24-22 Burlington. The Red Devils came out of the locker room by taking the lead by 14. Wakefield added 6 points in the third, 38-28 at the end of the third. Burlington and Wakefield both had 9 points in the fourth. However, the Red Devils took home the victory, 47-37. Now, the boys came into play. Let's see what they brought to the table. In the first period, Burlington put up 19 points over the Warriors, 19-9 after one. The Devils continued to score at will with an additional 19 points in the second. Wakefield added 15 points. Halftime, 38-24. Another 15 points came from the Devils in the third, and another 19 for Wakefield. 53-43 after three. Burlington wrapped things up in the fourth with another 17 points, and the Warriors with 23. 70-66 was the final. Burlington.
The teams then faced Lexington on January 11th. The girls won 55-49 and the boys lost 52-57. Currently, the girls are 3-5 and the boys are 5-3. Both teams will travel to Wilmington on January 14th. Both the ice hockey teams played the Stoneham Spartans on January 5th. We have some highlights from the girls' game.
Girls hockey took on the Stoneham Spartans on January 5th. In the first period, Caitlin Tremblay got the Devils on the board 1-1. During the second period, the Red Devils scored another 2 goals, one by Shay McDonald and Anna Viglione. Things got interesting when Stoneham tied up the game after 3 periods, 3-3. In overtime, Stoneham snagged a goal from the Red Devils to win it, 4-3.
The boys were shut out 0-3. Burlington girls then hosted the Watertown Red Raiders on January 8th, where they lost 5-7. The boys were supposed to play Watertown on January 8th, but the game was postponed. Both teams headed to Melrose during the week. On January 11th, the boys ended up in a tie of 1-1, and on January 12th, the girls won 7-0. Currently, the boys are 0-5, and the girls are 0-5-1, and the girls are 4-4. Both teams will face Wakefield on January 15th. Girls gymnastics headed to Woburn Memorial High School on January 11th to take on the Tanners, where they ended up getting the win. Burlington moves to 1-1 in the season and will host Melrose on January 18th. Boys gymnastics were supposed to have their first meet on January 7th against Lowell. However, that meet has been postponed to January 19th. They will host Braintree on January 14th. Girls and boys indoor track took on their Middlesex League rival, the Melrose Red Raiders, on January 6th. The boys won the meet 67-33, while the girls won 61-39. Both teams will face Wakefield on January 13th. As of taping, the meet is still underway. On a particularly high note for the boys team, junior Rathik Prakash was named Boston Globe District 2 All-Scholastics Fall 2021-22 Athlete of the Year. We'll have a feature with Rathik in next week's sports report. As is taping, the girls are 3-1 and the boys are 4-0. Boys swimming will face the Reading Rockets on January 13th. As is taping, the meet is still underway. Burlington is currently 0-3 on the season. Red Devil Wrestling had a tri-meet on January 8th at BHS, where they faced Pentucket, Wayland, and Hanover. During the Pentucket meet, the Devils fell a little bit short of the win in the 36-45 loss. Against the Wayland Warriors, the team managed to score 18 points in the 18-57 defeat. Finally, the Hanover Hawks were the last match of the meet. Burlington could not find any way to pull through as they fell in the 21-48 loss. They then did battle with the Melrose Red Raiders on January 12th, where they gave it their all but fell short to the Red Raiders, 36-39. Burlington is currently 2-9-1 and will host Woburn on January 19th. We had a conversation with junior Molly Moroney as she made Red Devil history with the first female win. BNEWS sports reporter Robert Paris has more.
Red Devil Wrestling has a new addition to the team this season. Molly Moroney, a BHS junior, is stepping back onto the wrestling mat after being on hiatus.
I got into it because, well, my dad was a coach for a long time, and both my brothers did it in youth wrestling. But unfortunately, I quit when I was younger because I didn't take it seriously. But then I got back into it sophomore year last year because I just went to one of the meets and I fell back in love with the sport.
Recently, Moroni became the first female to win a match in Burlington High wrestling history.
That was a shocker. I think I only had a few wins, like maybe like one or two back in youth. I was never a good wrestler. And especially at a tournament, I wasn't expecting something like that. I thought maybe like at a dual meet I would get one eventually. Wasn't even sure if I was going to get one this year. But, you know, I'd been working really hard lately, you know, trying to be more aggressive and just getting the win. And I listened to my coach throughout the whole thing. They helped me through it, to be honest. I wouldn't have won without them. And it was really exciting. It was a good win for me.
Head coach Paul Schwartzman is glad to see another member of the Moroni family back in action.
Molly's just going to, you know, kind of keep grinding. There's a couple girls tournaments coming up for her, so we'll see how she does with that. And then she is going to wrestle in the girls' states at the end of February. So exciting to have a competitor in that and, you know, see how she fares there. And besides that, I mean, she's getting a lot of forfeits for us. She's getting some wins for us. She's definitely helping us be a little more competitive, and we appreciate her putting in the time with that.
Moroni will continue her wrestling career as a Red Devil next season.
I'll definitely come back senior year. I'm planning on getting a little more involved in wrestling. I plan on doing Doe Girls after this season ends. I just really want to keep wrestling, to be honest. Maybe even college. Don't think I could, but it would be nice if that was an opportunity I could do. But I just love the sport and I want to keep doing it.
From the Burlington High School Wrestling Room, I'm Robert Paris for BNews Sports.
You can check out all the winter schedules at arbitrlive.com and type in Burlington High School. For more Red Devil action, go to the BNews Sports section at bcattv.org/sports and check out our Twitter page at BNews Sports. That's all for your Sports Report. I'm Anthony Matos. Back to you guys in the studio.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo really sets an interesting mood. It was sent in by BCAT's own engineer, Rob Zahora, and features a mist over the water at Mill Pond Reservoir that was taken on New Year's Day. A mysterious way to start 2022. Thanks for the photo, Rob. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your winter activities, a family trip, or just anything you're really interested in, whatever you think is interesting and want to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Couple more notes. We have our annual Photo of the Year contest underway on our Facebook page, and you can find a link to it and vote for your favorite photo on our website at bcattv.org. Also, make sure to stick around for the weekly Burlington Public School update with Dr. Conti following the news for the latest news from the district. Okay, that's it from the news desk here at BNews Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher, along with Rich Hosford, Ted Stefanak, Robert Paris, John Vias, Peter Brown, Gretchen Carey, and Anthony Matos. Thank you for joining us.